We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education will tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, get a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives.
Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the center. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparations Perspective, bringing you those Freedmen hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering, and today, family, I see you, Danielle Whitten. Y'all have been rolling hard with your sister for the last 2 days. But we got Congressman Marcel DIXON in the building. Yes, I'm speaking it into existence. Why not? Okay, your word shall not return unto you void, but shall accomplish whereunto you send it. Am I right? Okay. It's so good to see y'all. I know y'all tired of me. We've been going hard in the paint with the California Reparations Task Force. Even Congressman Marcel DIXON, he pulled a fast one and was able to make 6 minutes worth of comments. I wish I had thought of it, okay? I mean, I sit up for days on end trying to cram an entire broadcast into 3 minutes. And why didn't I call Congressman DIXON to learn me some tools of the political trade where I could have been on there like 5 times under 5 different aliases and got me a whole broadcast in, okay? I did not. He's the genius. He is really running hard. We need all hands on deck. And I'm just grateful to you for joining me again for the third. Wait, this makes the fifth time that we've been together in 2 days. Okay. That's pretty impressive. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. Y'all, they messing with me. They are shadow banning me. You must like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. It was my brilliant idea to make sure Congressman Marcel Dixon got as much exposure as he possibly can. We're working on some of the other bigger, channels that have more subscribers. I'm working on that now, waiting to hear back from some folks. So he will be coming to you in more spaces. But he's been making the rounds. He's been pissing off the Demorats in Congressman Dixon style, and I am all the way here for it. So without further ado, because it's 9 o'clock his time, what's up, Cazetta Osler? I see you, fam. I thank y'all for hanging in there. Okay? I'm so tired I could take off running. Do y'all see them bags under my eyes? When these task force meetings come around, my stomach is in knots. I cannot rest. The movement takes cat naps. Y'all know in the chat. Y'all know over on Twitter. Y'all know over in Facebook. Because we are out of time. So without further ado, because I got so much to ask this genius. Man, he came up in Congressman Dixon, hashtag. That's right, Danielle. Danielle is the leader of the hashtags. She came up with one for Chad Boogie Down Brown. Hashtag Chad Brown level. Okay, she is the hashtag queen. She has just written hashtag Congressman Dixon. And that needs to go viral. Okay. This brother came up in here and he knew about California history and slavery more so than the actual task force itself. He was dropping knowledge, dropping jewels. Without further ado, because I got so much, I want to wear him out. I don't want to wear him out too tough because I want him to come back next week. Hopefully, prayerfully. So without further ado, let me bring up to the stage the one, the only Congressman Greg Marcel Dixon. Give a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Let me just make sure we can
Hey, Angela. Hello, everyone.
Could you please just, what's up, Stephen? Adelo, Lyles. Blacks are their own oppressors these days. Well, you got a point.
Well, I say he's not completely wrong, but yeah.
Could you please, okay, just for those that may be new to you, you know the grassroots know and love you because you've been in the trenches with us, but just give them a little tiny overview about how you became our next congressman to unseat Jim Clyburn.
Well,
I'm trying to keep it politically correct.
That's okay. Look, I've broken all the rules of political correctness already, so I ain't planning to stop now. But I am a teacher. I'm born in Savannah, Georgia, and raised and still living in Ridgeland, South Carolina, and teaching in nearby town Hardyville, South Carolina. And I was trying to get a law passed in South Carolina or some type of policy enacted where Black children, mainly freedmen here in South Carolina, and that's how I refer to Black Americans as freedmen, for those who don't know, because that is our legislative term in the books of Congress. We're referred to as freedmen, those of us who have the lineage of people who were enslaved by the American government. So I was trying to get a law enacted where Black history will be more expansive. It will talk about ancient African civilizations, but mainly it will talk about Black inventors. Because if anybody follows me on Twitter, you know I'm very, very passionate about Black inventors. And I was trying to get support. And I thought that being in a state that's still a very Black state, 25 to 30% Black at a minimum, I will have people tripping over themselves to support me. While I couldn't get any state support, and I couldn't get any support from the NAACP. Al Sharpton's National Action Network, they're based in my area in Savannah. They were too overwhelmed to really assist me, even though they supported me in spirit. So I said, well, Clyburn used to be a history teacher, and I know that's a passion of his. So I figured he would jump to this, being he's the third most powerful Democrat. And I was ignored. I was told that, oh, he'll get back to you, or someone will get back to you. And stupid me, I believed it. So I waited for someone to email me. I didn't expect a phone call, but at least an email return. Didn't get one. Then I waited. It called back, told the same thing. And it's like the more and more he ignored me, the more determined I became to show him I am not to be ignored. So I was trying to find him on Twitter. I came across the now infamous hashtag ADOS, ADOS, and I saw the data, and that led me to do more research on my area. And I realized that my district has had Congressman Clyburn as the representative for 30 years. And yet, after 30 years of having him as our congressman, and him now being the third most powerful Democrat in Congress and the most powerful Black person in the United States of America, we are the sixth poorest place in which to live. Out of 435 districts, we are the sixth poorest district in which to live, and third poorest for children. And I said, we deserve better than this. And he's known for his fish fry dinners. I said, but no, it's not enough to feed us fish one day out of the week and have us starve the 364 other days. So I said, he got to go. That's what it was.
I love it, and love it some more. And I'm just so grateful that you bless my viewers with your presence. I just really want to help you win this seat. It is so time for a lot of these old relics in the CBC to go. They are betraying us. They are selling us out to make sure their line gets to continue, while not giving a damn whether the other, 99.9% of us get to flourish. And so thank you for being bold enough to bring your agenda. And like I said, I want you over here as often as possible just to help you go viral in the way that we can over here at TRP. We're still growing, but it's so important.
It's quality, not quantity. So sometimes you can get 5 strong supporters that can outdo 500 supporters that are just nothing but talk. And I want to talk about something you just mentioned about the elderly members of the Congressional Black Caucus. That ain't the problem. If Clyburn has been in office for 30 years and his constituents, his district is majority Black, is between 50 to 60% Black. We know it's probably higher than that because the census under councilors in South Carolina is one of the states with the lowest response rates to the census from its Black citizens. So it's probably even Blacker than that. If Clyburn had been in office for 30 years and his district was filled with resources and our lives had actually improved, I probably wouldn't mind him being there so long. But the fact of the matter is, it has only gotten poor under him. Under him and the Democrats, such as he, or the Demorats, as we call them, that's why I call them too. Because if you're running as a true Democrat, you're going to look out for the constituency that votes for you the most, the constituency that has been the most loyal, and that is Black Americans. Over 95% of Black Americans vote for the Democrats. We've been doing it since the 1960s. Here's what has happened to Black America since the 1960s. We've lost 14 million acres of land, 14 million acres of our 15 million acres that we've owned total since 1969. Find one piece of legislation Clyburn has written to stop it. There is none. Black men now have the shortest lives of all demographics in the United States of America. And we've recently had years of our lives taken off of our life expectancy. Is there any policy that Clyburn's written about that? Nope, there is none. And I just read today that in the year 2020 and 2021, the number of Black women dying giving childbirth, which is already the highest in the United States of America, 5 times higher than that of a white woman, even higher than poorer women living in developing nations such as the Philippines and Mexico. The childbirth mortality rate of Black women has surged in 2020 and 2021. Has Clyburn written legislation about that? Nope, he has not. Black home ownership is lower now than it was during the days of Jim Crow, when it was legal to discriminate against us, and when you had the FHA redlining our communities. Has Clyburn written any piece of legislation about that? No, he has not. So it's not that you're elderly, it's that you've been there for so long, and what do we have to show for it besides failure? And that we are worse off now, not just than our parents, but than our grandparents. And in some cases, our great-grandparents. Because when my great-grandmother retired, she had properties. She had a home. A lot of people in our generation and younger don't even know what it's like to even be anywhere near able to buy home, to buy property. So we are worse off than our grandparents and great-great-grandparents. And that's something that's unacceptable.
Thank you so much for that. Speaking of which, while we're on the topic of the farmers and how much land we've lost, Freedmen farmers are now under risk of being foreclosed upon because Biden earmarked $4 billion, not just for Freedmen. We can never get anything exclusively for us. He put in the component of our albatross called immigration. Disclaimer, I'm not anti-immigrant. I am anti the weaponization of immigration against freedmen to keep us tethered to the bottom of this Titanic.
That's
as
right.
the anchor of this country's capitalism to our own peril.
Exactly.
So Biden gives $4 billion out of the COVID aid to freedmen farmers plus immigrants, our albatross, our most imminent threat, and then white folks, because they don't like the fact that we get anything, right? We're not supposed to have anything. We're not, if we have it, they come through and they kill us and they destroy it because it is their intent, since we didn't leave the country after we fought and won our emancipation. When we didn't leave the country, they turned us loose from slavery to our own peril. And we managed to pull ourselves up by our bootless straps to from 4.5 million post-slavery to 40 million. Now, Biden earmarks this money, and because white folks are pissed, they have literally filed a class action lawsuit for reverse discrimination because we only got $4 billion. So what I'm finding is that the Demorats and the Republicans alike are complicit in creating our Holocaust and then creating policies to make it easy to undo all of our advances. I'd like for you to weigh in on the fact that that money has been frozen thanks to the glacier donkey, the white folks. I got to try. Lord, guide my tongue. The white folks who are pissed for this small little piece of money that has been cornered off to help us save our farms because we're in debt due to policies, right, that shut down the farming so we can't make money at farming. And then there's a part 2 to this that I want you to weigh in on. I covered another article about the farmers and how they are being used as the mules to toil the land only for South African whites to come in and take it over. Are you familiar with both those cases?
Oh, yes. I'm very familiar.
To weigh in.
So something that's interesting, I know you mentioned the white people who filed the lawsuit. Oh, but they had company. There were some of our, what they say, our black and brown, our brown allies. I don't know what brown means. I guess brown means Hispanics, who, by the way, if the money is going towards black people, those same brown, quote unquote, Hispanics will pull out their black abuelita that they keep a secret any other day. All of a sudden, those black grandparent photos come out of the woodwork after they get what was meant for us that we are entitled to, plus a hell of a lot more. Those same brown Hispanics will put that black grandmother, that black abuelita, and that black abuelo back in the photo album, never to be seen again, and they go from being classified as black on Friday, and they go back to wanting to call themselves white on Saturday. They also went in on that lawsuit because you see, like you said, the biggest threat we have always faced in this country has always been from the anti-black, white, bigoted scum. They are the biggest threat. Their ancestors are in hell, and they're going to join them. But the thing is, though, they are smart enough now to realize that immigration can be weaponized against us. And that's exactly what they're doing. So you talk about the white South African farmers. Well, let's talk about what's going on, what happened in Mississippi, what's happened in Georgia, where you have had ICE actually do its job. Imagine that. And they've raided these plants and these factories, and they've arrested a lot of the people in our country illegally. And all those jobs that they claim no American wants to do, the people who were doing those jobs before, hint, showed up the next day willing to do those jobs. So it's not that no American, they're doing jobs no American wants to do. It's the fact that we have been priced out of doing those jobs. And I find this very familiar because this is the same thing that the Irish did when they first came. When Black Americans, freedmen, would get together and they would bargain and they would say, hey, we'll do this job, but you're going to pay us a wage or we can provide for our families. We weren't even demanding reparations like we deserve. They was like, you need to pay us a wage or we can provide for our family. And the companies would agree to it. The Irish would then get together and either like cowards, they would get together in a mob because they can never just attack our people fair and square. They will grossly outnumber our people and kill them like the cowards they are and were, or they will go to the companies and say, we'll work, but we'll take a lower pay. And that will immediately disenfranchise our people. Today, a lot of the illegal immigrants are doing the exact same thing. And those cases that you mentioned show that. And what you've mentioned with the South African farmers is that even though some of our people are thinking that the Republicans are for us because at least people think they're against immigration, that is a myth. The Republicans just don't want the illegals to get the right to vote. And they shouldn't get the right to vote. Let me be very clear about that. But they don't mind the illegals jumping the border because you go to their mansions, like Mr. McConnell's mansion probably, I promise you, you'll find a whole team of people in the country illegally working there. So the Republican and the Demorats are both against us, and there's something about which we have to be aware. But the same way they use us, we got to be wise enough to strategize and use them because they definitely can be used. We just haven't gotten wise enough to do it yet. So I like what you're pushing, Angela, about us weaponizing our votes.
Yes, indeed. I am pushing the weaponization of our votes to close these borders because we can't just be so concerned about reparations, which is the long game, right? This is a long game. I mean, we're going to get into it momentarily about how Senator Bradford down here in California just delayed our decision on eligibility, which shouldn't even be up for debate. He just delayed us another month, and the economists that we've now voted on, their work is delayed another month. So let me not jump ahead of myself. I was about to, where was I pivoting to? Oh, I lost my train of thought that fast. I'm so tired, okay. Y'all.
You were saying that reparations is the long goal, but you are for closing the borders, as am I.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing me back. Y'all, I had no sleep for 48 hours.
We look out for each other.
Thank you, baby. Yes, so I was saying that because reparations is the long game, and they playing with it here in California. And let me help you understand why we are hotter than fish grease today. Because as California goes, so goes the other states, so goes the nation.
And that scares me. I hear a lot of people say that, and I've been hearing that a lot with this reparations movement. People that I adore and admire have been saying, because we're excited about this reparations movement, as goes California, so does the nation. That scares the hell out of me. Because California is only 5% black, and of that 5% that's black, they make up over 50% of those that are homeless. They have the highest rate of incarceration, the highest rate of poverty, the highest rate of unemployment, and California is the nation that passed, what was it? Something like a $300 billion or $800 billion bill in 2021 to make sure that people in the country illegally would get stimulus and would get unemployment assistance. Yet that same goddamn California has not done the damn thing to get all those black people in the streets off the streets, when that is the same California that went out their way to destroy successful, flourishing black towns like Allensworth, where they were so jealous because their bigoted, disgusting selves couldn't do anything. They cut the water off to Allensworth, and then the FHA, being the bigoted scums they are too, worked with the state of California to put a railroad through the town to make sure it did not come back. They did the same thing in Santa Monica, passed ordinances saying that black people couldn't play music at certain times of the day, which pretty much all day, causing black dance clubs and bars and wineries to close down, and then they use eminent domain to take black people's property. But that same California can go, what's the expression now? People say 10 toes down for people in the country illegally, but can't do anything for people who built the country that people are illegally are seeking to come. So yeah, that pisses me off when I heard that eligibility has been delayed, and it scares me when I hear people say, as goes California, so goes the nation. Because I love living here in my black South Carolina, which you look at the census, they'll say it's somewhere between 26 to 29% black. We all know these rural black people aren't filling out the census. Hell, for a long time, my family didn't even do it. I mean, for a long time. So you could comfortably say something that's like 30, 35% black. I love it. I love the fact that I step out of my home, go to the grocery store, go to a park, and I am seeing other freedmen. I feel for my freedmen brothers and sisters who are in a state where you walk out your home, you may not even be able to speak, you speak English if people look at your cross-eyed. I feel for y'all.
Amen to that. Well, let me go back to my point. Oh, Sugarfoot, y'all. Hold on, that's the phone. I forgot to silence it. Just give me a second. Oh. Okay. All right. So what I meant by that is this. Hold on, let me silence this. What I meant by that is this. As California goes, so goes the nation. What you're finding is that these refugees and immigrants are now taking over the South. You don't see it just yet. You don't see it just yet.
No, I see it. Trust me.
Okay. Now, let me explain my point about why it's imperative that we set the standard here. We've got to be the precedent. Everybody's watching because they already know. We told them 6 ways to Sunday that if you tie in all blacks, you make it about race, which means you reduce our claim to what you see right now, where they're trying to foreclose on freedmen farmers after the white folks came and claimed reverse discrimination over that $4 billion set aside, which includes immigrants. So as you said, immigrants were tethered to that reverse discrimination lawsuit as well. Okay. So you're absolutely right. They work both sides of the race card.
Yes, they do.
And so therefore, you got a lot of folks is doing that. I done seen more white folks show up professing to be black than the law should allow since we started running for reparations. It blows my mind.
Seriously. I've read a few stories about that too.
I've seen the pictures. They look white as a driven snow and have had advantages as white people. But now that we've made reparations, the grassroots have made it the hot topic. Now everybody's black. And so if we don't
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If we don't corner this off, if we do not make sure that eligibility is strictly for those of us who descend from U.S. chattel slavery, you're going to have this domino effect where all these black immigrants and the ones who claim to be black for the bag are going to be, like you said, going in there and getting pictures of their abuela and abuelitas, whatever, and they're going to be bringing this in to try to tie their line back to U.S. chattel slavery. And so you're going to have $5 white freedmen, $5 Asian freedmen, $5 Hispanic freedmen, $5 Indian freedmen.
You get a freedman, you get a freedman, you get a freedman. Everybody's a freedman, right?
Right. And like Dr. Shirley Weber said, it's exclusively for us because when you start to add everyone else, we may get 50 cents or even less. We may get Maya Angelou on the back of a slave hold a quarter. So I'm saying that it is imperative that we get this right because we've gone from 17% to less than 3%. We're about 3% or less. When they say California. 5%, they're counting African blacks. And when you take African blacks who had liquid assets, back in 2014, the Color of LA Wealth Report, African blacks, which we predominantly have, we got some Caribbean, but they're next in terms of majority, U.S. black and African black are here. Okay, so they flatten that and say we 5%. But let me help you understand a couple of facts about that. Those African blacks have 152,000 in total assets to Freedmen black 30,000 total assets. This was from a 2016 Color of Wealth LA report. Stay with me now. When it comes to liquidity, from that same report, they were 60,000 liquid to Freedmen 200 liquid. When it came to education, we were 44% of the degree. Our median income was 53,500. It's now 35,000. African blacks were 58.9% degreed. Their median income was 115,000. The price of a home down here, the median price of a home in LA, I want to say it's $834,400.
Goodness.
And so what you're talking about is somewhat true. My biggest fear that the nation will go like California is that we will be reduced to numbers as low as 3% all over the country before they give us a Maya Angelou quarter with a slave owner on the front. That's my fear. So I'm just saying this to say that it is imperative we get this right because the weaponization of immigration is our biggest, most imminent threat. It is designed to keep us oppressed and tethered to the bottom. And the challenge with a lot of these people in office that are black is that they're doing the bidding of delaying and obfuscating and trying to conflate and doing their best to make sure they set us up to fail, even though they know that if you do it based on race, we will end up tied in court. Okay, we will be bound in court because they're going to sue and we will never see it. So this is an important time and I need everybody. I'm going to put it in the chat and I'm going to announce it. I need everybody to light Senator Bradford's Freedman ass up. I need you to do it, family. I need you to give him all that smoke. Let me, it's a lot of comments over here. I'm going to get to your comments, guys. I'm going to give you a chance to speak with our brother here. But I want to read this out loud. We need all hands on deck. This is when everyone gets to become a part of the movement. You must call Senator Bradford's office. Let him know how you feel about his vote. He made the motion to delay this critical decision. Pure Vision actually did it. She gave him the business earlier. Thank you, Pure Vision, in the chat. Here's his Capitol phone number, 916-651-4035. His business phone, 310-514-8573. His email, senator.bradford, BRADFORD, @senate.ca.gov. So when I say, yes, she says she called and she'll be calling again, okay? So when I tell you that it is imperative that everybody pick up a brick right now, we need all hands on deck. Y'all got to care about the way California goes. Otherwise, you're going to be reduced to a housing voucher akin to Cobra, akin to Evanston, in which Narcan and Cobra are overseeing. They got a housing voucher, 16 recipients with a median income of $40,000 and a median home price of $400,000. They get a $25,000 voucher that they won't even qualify in terms of their income for a home loan to even use that as a down payment. And you're lucky if you can hold on to your home as it appreciates in value due to gentrification, and the property taxes go through the roof. That's how folks out here are going to be losing with a median income of $35,000. They cannot even afford, hi, Ivy Dreams. They cannot even afford to borrow against the equity. Say you bought your home for $300K, you owe $100K. It's now valued at $500K. You got $400,000 worth of equity, and it requires a minimum income of $80,000. You see how they do us, Marcel? So that's what I mean. It is imperative. Lord, my fan. It is imperative that we get this right. So
you know what? I believe with this thing that happened with the farmers, I believe they deliberately sabotage it. Because like you said, they know specificity. Our government knows how to be specific. When they did the reparations for the Japanese that were interned, they didn't just give it to Japanese Americans. They only gave it to Japanese Americans who were of the lineage of those that were interned. When they do these settlements with Native Americans, they just don't do one flat Native American settlement. The Cherokee get this, the Apache gets this. They know how to be specific when it comes to every other ethnicity and lineage. It's only with us as freemen do they want to throw everyone in there. And I believe they know that's the way to sabotage it. Look at the arguments that have been made against affirmative action. It cannot be quote unquote race-based, which, by the way, the people who have benefited the most from affirmative action have been white women who, strangely enough, were 40% of those who enslaved our people and were right there participating in lynch mobs and racial massacres and nasty, disgusting acts of violence during times when they were trying to integrate schools. And they get to turn around and benefit from our struggle. That is why specificity for us is so important. And that is why making us a class that gets special federal recognition and protection is so important. Because once we get that, we are freedmen, which technically we already have, but we put policies forth to make this government recognize us as freedmen. That term only goes for us. No one can be attached to things that are set aside for us. Because like you said, what they do is they throw everyone in there who can benefit from us. I remember Stacey Abrams, and I remember the current president, if that's what we want to call him, both making a comment that they're interested in studying reparations, And Stacey Abrams says she supports it, not studies, she supports it. This guy we got now said he was interested in studying it as long as it includes Native Americans. Now, I find that quite insulting. Native Americans get tax breaks. Some of them get direct payments. A lot of them bring in millions from their casinos. A lot of them have reservations. Whether those reservations are of quality or not is nothing to do with us. That was settlements made with them as a nation. And not once through that legislation includes freemen, Black Americans who are descendants of those who were enslaved. We're not including anything that benefits them. Matter of fact, the freemen that were enslaved by Native Americans are fighting right now as we speak to get the benefits to which they are entitled to, that Native American tribes are discriminating against them and having to fight with the federal government. It got so bad that even Maxine Waters said if she hears about that happening, she is going to withhold the funding for those Native American tribes. That's how bad it has gotten. What we have to do, Andrew, is be as self-interested as all these other groups are. We have failed to do that. We have this old, I want to be the bigger person mentality. You know, as long as I'm nice and kind, even though I may not get a cent for it, I get to sleep well at night. Where has that gotten us? I told one of my colleagues, being the bigger person has only resulted in us being the brokest person, the homeless person, the person who has had the most land stolen from them, the least educated person, the person who's more likely to get fired, more likely to be discriminated against, and the person who is owed the most but hasn't seen a cent from it. That's what being the bigger person, quote unquote, has gotten us. We have to become self-interested, meaning policies have to be tailored specifically for us. And that is the solution, because you're right. If we don't act and act now, I don't think this country wants to get rid of us because Black people are too valuable. Freedmen are too valuable. Who else are they going to lock up in the prisons for crimes that we have to commit if not us? Who else are they going to have to rip off with these reverse mortgages? So they're going to need us around. But like that open video you played says, if we got treated to lynch mobs and rapes and massacres being a second-class citizen, what's going to happen when we become third, fourth, fifth? We need to get our act together politically. And I'm not going to do a selfless plug here, but that's why we have to really support candidates who are running on specific policies for freedmen, and reparations being the utmost. And alongside reparations, a strong Black agenda, which has to include a moratorium on legal immigration. We talk about stopping illegal immigration, which definitely needs to happen. We have to also greatly minimize legal immigration, because how dare you bring a person from India to do a job that I am well trained enough to do, or if you invested in me, I will be able to do, but you would rather invest in a person from another nation than the people you have here.
Amen. While you're speaking on that, did you see where Biden is giving the illegals a fast track to citizenship? Can you speak on it?
Brian, who's get? You said Brian?
I said, oh, Biden is now giving illegals a fast track to citizenship. Did you see that headline?
No, I haven't read that yet, but I'm not surprised.
Well, let's read it.
I'm not surprised at all.
Let me do another plug. People are in here asking how to donate to your campaign. Now, listen, family. I got you.
Okay.
I got to do my speech. Okay. I got to do my speech. Y'all better listen to me and listen to me good. Y'all better put that fast food money and that Starbucks money over into Congressman Marcel Dixon's coffers. Do you understand what I'm telling you? There is no donation too small or too large. Now, don't tell me that you ain't got it when you are driving through Starbucks or you're going to your favorite with Popeyes. Don't tell me you ain't got it. I don't want to hear it. We are at Amir Locke, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. Now, let me tell you something. If y'all don't deliver Congressman Marcel Dixon that seat, you will only have yourselves to blame when you start to see our numbers fall faster than you've ever seen. Your head is going to spin up off its axis, because we cannot afford to live in a country with a median income of $40,000 when the national median home price is $400,000. What that spells for us is homelessness. Okay? And homelessness out here, you will catch a case. You cannot be on these streets. They will arrest you. They have made being homeless illegal, as we have set aside so many tax dollars. They're just lining their own pockets with it. And we are 3% down here, but 80% of the homeless. So, let me help you understand. You may not live in South Carolina, but Clyburn impacts us every election. He goes down there and does the bidding of the O'Bidens, the author of the 94 crime bill. You understand what I'm telling you? He was the one. They've stolen 2 primaries from Bernie Sanders. He's only marginally better as he sits up here and feign he don't know what reparations is.
Exactly, but he's Jewish and he knows exactly what it is.
Oh, so I need y'all to understand. Biden doing what? I'm about to get into it, baby. I'm about to pull up the article. He is literally giving illegals a fast track to citizenship, and we're going to unpack it right here with Congressman DIXON.
And not only are we going to unpack it,
damn straight.
I'm going to stop it. I promise that.
He's going to stop it with our help. It is time for everyone to get to his campaign. I put it in the chat. MARCELforcongress.com.
So
you must go ahead.
Let me get this straight real quick. This guy, the quote-unquote president, he was friends, not just colleagues. You see, Clyburn tried to defend him when he made that little speech that they ain't never call him boy. They call him sir. Well, we already know who they were referring to as boy, but they didn't refer to the right one that way. But so he brags about his friendship with segregationists. He partners with segregationists to keep kids, black kids, out of better funded schools because he said he didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle. And we all know about the imagery of black people being associated with the jungle. So he knew what he was saying. He said the quiet part loud. When asked about reparations in the 1970s, the same person said he'll be damned if he's responsible for the sins of his forefathers. Yet he has no problems with people who are the descendants of those who were enslavers inheriting the wealth of those particular forefathers. He then writes the crime bill, which has put more black people in incarceration than any other piece of legislation, even more than during the days of debtors prison and vagrancy laws. Clyburn sells this person to us, right? So I'm hearing now that he is trying to fast track a path to citizenship for illegals. What I want people to understand, and listen to this part carefully, is that this same person who we call president can write an executive order right now to start a commission for reparations. And I know people may think that's just a study. A commission can be more than just a study. It can be policy proposals that can easily be fast-tracked. All he has to do is write an executive order to one of the executive agencies. An executive agency is a department of the executive branch of the government where the president can put someone in charge of having to go through Congress. He can give them an order, say, the Department of Education, Department of Labor, Department of War, Department of Transportation. Those are all executive agencies. He can even go to the Department of Transportation and say, hey, I want to start a reparations commission. Let's start looking into what freedmen are going through and what we can do about it now. He won't do that. And Clyburn's not pushing him to do that, but he's on television everywhere talking about making lift every voice and sing the national anthem. That's not stopping our sons and daughters and fathers and mothers being shot and murdered unjustifiably by crooked policemen. That's not taking our people off the street. We are 15 to 20% of the population, but make over 50% of the homeless. That's not stopping us from having the highest rate of foreclosure. That's not giving us back at least 1 million of the 14 million acres we've lost since 1969, and we're barely holding on to 1 million, all of us together. Clyburn does not call him out on that, and he won't do it, but he can do this that I'm reading right here. Disgusting.
Yes, let's get into it a little bit. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Please, please, please set up recurring payments to this brother. If you could do $5 a month, if could you do the math, Marcel? Didn't you tell me something about you could raise $9,000 a month if we gave X, Y, and Z 3,000 of us, something like that? Okay.
I have over 3,000 followers on my Marcel for Congress Twitter account. If each of the, let's just say 3,000 gave $3, I will be raising over $9,000 a month. I already have commercials playing throughout South Carolina on television. I already have advertisements that have gone through a lot of the major papers in my district. I already sent out mass text messages, making sure people know Clyburn's awful record. So when he tries to lie and say he's been so good for us, people can have that and confront him with him and make him defend his awful record. I have been doing all of this because of the donations people have given me, but it hasn't been anywhere near $9,000 a month. If I get $9,000 a month, this election is pretty much mine for the win. But people have to actually, people have, and I thank the over 550 that have donated. But I know the 3,000 that follow me, most can do at least $3 a month, and that will be $9,000 a month. I could run campaigns, advertisements, get a field team together all throughout South Carolina. Not just my district, but South Carolina, period. And I only need to win my district.
Okay, family, so I'm tasking you to get this brother $10,000 a month. I need you to make this video go viral. He will be here with me, God willing, weekly for us to fundraise. Okay, we need to fundraise and get this brother as much money as he needs, $10K a month. His runoff is when? When is your election?
June 14th.
June 14th, family. We don't have long. We have a lot of work to do. Now, I want to play this video for you real quick, and then we'll talk it up. Hold on one second.
Drinking water before bed reverses diabetes in just 4 weeks. People are eliminating their type 2 diabetes and
So sick.
Biden administration under fire for encouraging undocumented immigrants to come to get the coronavirus vaccine. Kristen Fisher's on that story from the North Lawn of the White House. Kristen, good morning.
Wait, that's not what I wanted.
The White House says that it wants undocumented immigrants to have access to a vaccine when it's their turn because it is morally right and because it could help stop the spread.
Okay, that's not what I meant, y'all. Hold on. I thought they were going to do the hold on, y'all.
I think I see it there. It says White House says Biden backs citizenship for 11 million illegal immigrants.
Yes, I thought I would be able to hear Tucker Carlson or someone. And y'all don't be mad at okay, that's not the right one. Hold on, let me close that out. Hold on. I'm gonna keep this one going and read from the other one. Clearly, that's not the right. I'm gonna keep the headline right there so we can get mad because anger gets shit done.
We need to be angry, right? We're not angry enough. When I go into these Twitter spaces, or now, let me tell you something. South Carolina, we a little differently. Because when you actually speak to South Carolinians, we've had a town. And let me tell you the issue, and I promise y'all this is the truth. Whether I call a white conservative here in South Carolina, or I call a black Democrat, illegal immigration is the issue that gets everyone riled up. I kid you not. But we as freedmen in this movement, I don't feel we're angry enough. Now, I know we all have our different temperaments, but we need to be angry. We need to be beyond anger. And what we need to do, and what I'm going to do, is take that anger and put it into legislation. That's why on my platform, I put it right on there, absolutely eliminating illegal immigration. And I'm going to decrease and push for legislation to decrease levels of legal immigration to where it will no longer hurt freedmen.
Amen. You want to answer this question? Joel Jones, if it's such a failure, why are you here? What have you done for the movement? Oh, my God. Joel, you just getting to the party, child. You clearly don't know enough. This brother has been in the trenches since let me answer that. This brother has been in the trenches since the former ADOS movement. So the reason why we got as far along as we have is because we enlist our future Congressman, Greg Marcel Dixon, to unseat Coon Clyburn. There is not a campaign we have run that he didn't pick up a phone or send out emails or make himself a party to. Okay? So this brother has been moving. If this ain't no Jamal Bowman or no Cori Bush who pays lip service to reparations and ain't touched the grassroots. Because see, that's the new grift. Let us pretend to be about reparations so we can get in here with a black face and do the people of color white oppressor dance.
Yes.
Let's look out for them. Let's give them protections. So this brother was groomed in the grassroots. He is down there in District 6, South Carolina. That's why his Wi-Fi is spotty.
Exactly.
Clyburn in the 6th poorest district in all of the country. Out of 400, what districts, Marcel?
435 as before the redrawing of this year. 435 districts. His district's the 6th poorest after 30 years. 6th poorest district.
And so he's also an educator. He's down there where the systems are failing our children. And he's in there trying to love them through their poverty, love them through their homelessness, love them through their fathers going off to jail for having to push drugs because they can't get employment. And when they do, they're so underemployed, they still can't afford a living. He is that to District 6, unlike Coon Clyburn. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I want to say, too, you know, a lot of us talk about what we've done, and that's good. Clyburn does that. Clyburn talks about his involvement in the civil rights movement. And, you know, I respect you for that. But at some point, if I ate yesterday, I still got to eat today, right? So at some point, what you've done, that's not going to be sufficient. It's not what a person has done always, it's what they're doing now, because we still do not have reparations. So what we've done, I'm sure a lot of us have done things that are great, but it's not what I've done, what Angela's done, is what we're doing now. So I would ask that person, if that message was directed to me, what is it that you are doing now? Because all of us talking tough or talking loud online ain't changing nothing. And no matter how much righteous anger or indignation we have, if we are not in power, then we will not have the power to put forth legislation that's going to change our condition. And that's why I decided to run, because I really got tired of hearing a lot of us kind of blow hot air. And that's good. We do need to educate people. But at some point, I realized what our ancestors did during Reconstruction. They went from the plantation and they went to the polls. And then they sent our people to the White House. A lot of our people were illiterate. And they went there wanting to do policies for us. They didn't say the nice white Republicans, because at that time, the Republicans were the party that was for Black Americans. They didn't say, well, we're just going to wait for them to come and pass policies for us. No, people like Robert Smalls and Joseph Rainey, both here from South Carolina, from the Low Country, Gullah Geechee like me, they went to the White House, got elected, and went to the White House themselves because they realized that was the main way they were going to be able to do something for their people. So that's what I'm doing.
Amen to that. I hope that answered your question, JoJo. That's my diaper buddy. Out of date, no. I love her so much, and she's run for office, and she loves us Black and strong, too. But I can tell she's late to the party of Marcel Dixon. She late to the Marcel Dixon party because she'd have never asked that question if she had been at the party on time. Anyway, back to the text. The White House on Tuesday reaffirmed that President Biden backs a controversial plan to create a pathway to citizenship to at least 11 million illegal immigrants, as the White House and congressional Demorats are expected to formally unveil a sweeping immigration bill as soon as this week. Let me stop right here and give you
the reparations bill.
Thank you. But let me say this. Let me edutain you. Okay? Let me edutain you. What Biden is doing with these illegals is giving them a fast track to citizenship because his numbers are in the toilet. Oh, Biden and Kabami's numbers are in the toilet, and he's losing ground, not fast enough for my taste, with Freedmen, who have been delivering the Demorats the White House voting blue no matter damn who since FDR to our own peril.
Exactly.
Our numbers are declining. Okay, we've got the preschool to prison pipeline, the not so new slavery in the private prison industrial complex. Over 50% of the homeless families in this country are freedmen. Okay, we've got environmental racism happening in the tenement housing and in our communities. We've got the glacier donkeys, the militarized police in our communities walking up in our joint and executing us within 2 seconds. We've got joblessness. Well, I said joblessness, the highest rates of unemployment. We've got, we can't afford homes because our national median income is $40,000 as compared to a national median home price of $400,000. We don't qualify to even borrow against our equity. You got to be at 80K to borrow against your equity out here in California. So now they're setting you up to lie. And what happens when you lie and can't make up the difference? They get to foreclose on your homes and get paid 3 times. We don't own small businesses because, once again, we have no collateral. And this Mickey Ficky, the author of the 94 crime bill, Strom Thurmond's protege, is sitting up here talking about giving 11 million illegal immigrants a fast track to citizenship because his numbers are in the toilet, and he's using our reparations, okay? He's using our reparations and our protections to make them more American than us, because they've got to be more American than us to survive this peace.
So
and
they don't have a study?
To be alive enough to get to the polls come the midterms. He needs them at the polls to keep the Congress blue, the very Congress trifecta that has this immigration around the necks of freedmen like the albatross it is, because this don't hurt white folks or legal immigrants. This don't hurt them. Let me show you why it don't hurt them. Go ahead, Marcel, while I bring
I'm just asking, they don't need to study it, because all they're offering us is some sorry, sucky study. Anytime you go to them about reparations, the Democrats who owe them being a viable party, they mentioned HR 40, HR 40, HR 40. I told one Clyburn supporter, HR 40 is not showing leadership on reparations. I'm tired of thinking HR 40 is a code word for, oh, you see, I'm showing leadership. No, leadership on reparations will be Clyburn doing for us freedmen what he did for the Catawba Native Americans who used to enslave us. He wrote a bill for them to get special protections, rights, privileges, and recognition. That was in 1993, okay? Then he writes another bill in December 2021 for them to get 20 additional acres of property so they can get a multi-million-dollar casino. He didn't wait for anybody to do it. He did it. So if HR 40 has been languishing since the 1980s, what has stopped Clyburn from writing a reparations bill? But you see how quickly they act for every other group, even groups that's not American. How can you fast track 11 million people who are in the country illegally to citizenship? No study needed, but for Black Americans whose history of government sanctioned terrorism and injustice is most well documented, we have to be studied more. Where's some damn petri dish?
You're absolutely right. So I wanted to bring up this chart, family, to show you as an example as to why immigration, legal and illegal, is freedmen albatross. It's like the ancestors. Remember back in the Gap where you would see photos with their baby on one tit and the white baby on the other tit? Well, today we've got our child on one tit, and then we've got the immigrants and the white folks on the other tit. If you can get with that visual. So the reason why I say that immigration, legal and illegal, is freedmen's most imminent threat, it is the albatross, the noose around the neck of freedmen exclusively is displayed right here. This is the U.S. median income by race. Asians, 87.2 thousand median income. 87,200 median income. Whites, 65,900 median income. Now, this is problematic for white folks, and this is why they love my Freedmen voter strategy. Look at the Asians beating the brakes off the white folks. This was part of what that insurrection was all about. They killed and stole the wealth from us, and now the two-party oligarch is guaranteeing that Asian immigrants are making $22,000 more than they are. They're hotter than fish grease, even though they got a lot of the wealth. They don't want to share. So this is pissing them off right here. Native Hawaiian are 61,900. Hispanic Latinos are $51,400. Now, American Indian is even $44,700. Now, blacks, U.S. black are about 22% degreed. And yet we have the lowest U.S. median income at $41,500 when our ancestors built all the wealth these Mickey Fickies eat from with their lives. Did you want to weigh in on this chart?
No, I've seen that chart so many times, it disgusts me. How do the people who are the ones primarily responsible for the wealth of this nation have the least amount of wealth and the lowest income? Disgusting. And it should enrage us.
Yes, indeed. So I'm going to keep that up. There certainly is a part of the proposal that the president outlined and proposed on day one that is an earned pathway to citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the country, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said. Now, let me help you with this. This Mickey Ficky is about to start the Third World War to protect Ukraine borders.
Right. But ours, leave it all open.
Ours are wide open. Did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I can't help but the irony of that. You want to protect Ukrainians from being invaded by Russians. Yet our borders, you want to not only have it wide open, you want to reward the people who came here illegally with citizenship. But not only that, your Justice Department was talking about paying $450,000 per illegal immigrant who was, quote unquote, separated from their family. I find that very funny. This is the guy who wrote the crime bill, not just the crime bill of 94. You know, there was a crime bill in the 80s that they wrote too. And you know, before he wrote that, he was trying to push Nixon to ramp up mass incarceration and was somewhat successful in the 70s. Have they offered a penny to any of the black families who had loved ones incarcerated for crimes they didn't even commit? Because black men are 70% of the people who are to be found later exonerated of a crime for which they were found guilty of. So that means we talk about this crime wave and we see a black man getting arrested for it. There's a good chance that black man did not commit the crime, but just could not afford quality representation in court. How much money has been offered to those black men, to those black women, and to those families? Yet, people come to this country illegally, get arrested, and somehow they deserve $450,000. Well, if that is a standard for people getting paid, then every black American should be rich just from getting paid because of mass incarceration alone. That's not even including unpaid labor.
So there's the grift, Marcel. These parents are sending their kids across the border, then claiming that they were separated, illegally. They're sending their kids across the border illegally. And so this is one of many articles that say parents who send their kids across the border are not heroes nor villains. They're humans facing an impossible choice. Ain't this about a blip?
Choice.
Ain't this about a blip? So what they do is they leave their Holocaust, okay, and come over here and tether themselves to ours, and they get our reparations to be made whole so they can deliver the vote for the Demorats.
Well, not just that, they send billions and billions of dollars back to their native countries. So first of all, they come here and they use legislation that was really advocated for by freedmen, Black Americans, the Civil Rights Department, to get protection. And then they send billions of dollars back to their native countries while living in our communities and being able to send their children to school, go to hospitals with our tax dollars. But the real insult, I guess those people, you know, if you're selfish, anyone will do what they're doing. But the real insult is the Demorats put them first instead of the 95% Black voter electorate that votes for them. That is the real insult. And then when they get citizenship, they start voting Republicans once they get to enough wealth. And the Democrats are still investing in them.
Honey, Ari Dream says we need to stop voting Democrat in California. We need to stop voting for anyone who supports open borders. Because I believe Sinema and Manchin are closed border. I believe that they would support closed borders. Now, what you've got to do, and I'm going to get into the Freedmen voter strategy towards the end of the broadcast, which is coming soon. Oh, I just don't want to wear Marcel out. He's been everywhere, in Clubhouse, in Twitter Space, on the African Diaspora News Channel, on TD Hip Hop Media, on Brianna Gray's show. Who I leave out? I feel like I missed
it's Sinclair, or I love Black people. I love being Black. TD Hip Hop Media, Rail Tim Black. I forgot the Melanated Rebel News Network. And I have quite a few coming up. Like I'm going to be on the Gullah Radio in my area this Sunday. It's a big radio station in my area for Gullah Geechee people. And tomorrow I'm going to be on, I think her name is Miss Kelm. She has a Black business show, and I'm going to be on that as well. And very soon I'll be announcing more specifics, be doing a tour throughout my area.
Wonderful.
Showing some of the conditions of my people and how Clyburn's district really looks. Because I think people have to see it to believe it. And they won't believe this is how the district of a man who has been in office for 30 years and is now worth millions looks this way.
That's real talk. I wanted to talk about more symbolism. First of all, let's talk about this one. This is a good one. Did you read this one from The Hill? Now, this is dated, but it feels very current. Let's bring it up. Senate Democrats wish talk on reparations would go away.
Well, guess what? Like I said on Twitter, they better put that genie back in the bottle and rub that lamp again, because that one ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. They better put that genie back in the bottle and rub that little lamp again, because that ain't gonna happen. They don't have to say, we don't need an article telling us that they wish talk on reparations will go away. We know that's what they want. They show it by not talking about it. And even when they talk about it, they show it by not taking any action on it. Ayanna Pressley, for example, made a tweet last week or so saying this is what Black America needs. And she mentioned reparations. And I guess she thought we were going to fall all over ourselves because she mentioned reparations. We are beyond mentioning. We're beyond talking. Now it's time for action. So just giving a little fist pump, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, they haven't even let the word reparations leave their mouth since they've got it in Congress, or just typing a tweet about Ayanna Pressley, that is insufficient. Now we need legislation. If you're not writing the legislation, and if you're not talking about that as much as you're talking about illegal immigrants, you're not serious about it, and you need to get out the way.
This says Senate Democrats are not fans of legislation or reparation for slavery, which has become a hot topic in the 2020 presidential campaign. For those of you who are wondering who Congressman Greg Marcel Dixon is, we are responsible why reparations for freedmen who descend from U.S. chattel slavery, we are the reason that it became a hot topic in 2020. That was all of our work, including Mr. Dixon, before he threw his hat in the ring to take over South Carolina and to unseat Coon Clyburn. Democratic lawmakers acknowledge, they love acknowledging.
Yes.
They love acknowledging. They acknowledge that slavery is a terrible stain on the nation's history and that African Americans were subjected to unjust and racist laws for decades after abolition. First of all, our Holocaust is never ending.
It's still happening now.
And while they're telling you that they don't have the money to repair us, look at the scores of refugees and immigrants they're making more American than us, while guaranteeing that we're tethered to the bottom as the anchor of the country's capitalism. This is why Narcan and Cobra Pan-Africanist groups are fighting to thwart our efforts by trying to tether all Blacks to our reparations justice claim. On the state level here in California, they're trying to co-opt that. And on the federal level with the HR 40, they're trying to co-opt it by tying race to it when they know that we will be sued if a reparations is delivered on the premise of race and not lineage. This is the grift. So yes, we did this work, the grassroots. If you watch the first, or is it the second half of yesterday's task force meeting, you will see a member of the NASD National and CJAC, Mr. Chad Brown, show you the contemporary reparationist movement, which includes TRP. He's got a collage of all the grassroots that are responsible for why reparations became a hot topic on the national debate stage. So here they are wishing it would go away. But the question of figuring out who should pay for economic harm accrued over hundreds of years is a political landmine. Why would that be a political landmine when the government, Andrew Johnson in particular, took away Sherman Order number 15 when he took away our 40 acres and a mule and gave it to white immigrants? So immigration has been weaponized against us since we were emancipated. It just didn't happen with Black and POC white oppressors. When he gave that away, and then Johnson took the Sherman Order 15 and gave it away to white immigrants and white slave owners alike under the Homestead Act for 100+ years, which has, just like prison for our brothers and not so new slavery in the private prison industrial complex, it started off as the slave patrols, turned race soldiers, turned debtors, prison, turned you could be jailed if you, and then leased out if you wouldn't sharecrop willingly. You see how it's got several iterations before we became.
And it's well documented. It's well documented. They know exactly who we are. They know exactly who we are.
So this is how they play this game. They pretend like they don't know who harmed us, and they claim it's a political landmine, but they say nothing about giving away the repair to all these other groups. And so that's the way I was making a point that that's the way this continues to snowball into nothingness to our own peril. Because
when they sent out the stimulus checks, they sent that to hundreds of millions of Americans, and they know exactly who received the check. They had qualifiers. If you made over $75,000, you didn't get a stimulus check. They knew people who didn't make that, and they know people who made more than that. They able to specify with everything else. Now, they can do that to Americans, and they were in the hundreds of millions. How is it such a challenge then to specify out of the 50 million? We know it's much higher than that because I'm always going to call out the census undercounting us. But let's just go with the census numbers right now. Of the 50 million Black Americans, 40 to 42 million are of Freedmen descent. If they can send checks to something like 150 to 200 million Americans and know who qualified to get a check and who did not, based on their income and based on their family, how many checks they receive, how is it that they're not able to do the same for just 40 to 42 million of us? They tell themselves all the time.
They know exactly who we are. Let me finish this text. Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, the senior Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, said she understands why some thought leaders, such as author Ta-Nehisi Coates, are calling for reparations, but warned the issue is divisive. Oh, I understand why. I also understand the wound that it opens and the trials and tribulations it's going to bring about. Some things are just better left alone, and I think that's one of those things, she said. This is a major blemish on American democracy that has lasted for over 100 years now, she said, of slavery and discriminatory laws that followed the Civil War. It's not going to change, and we have to learn from it. And I think we have. Oh, my God. I could just throw up in my mouth. This
they think our suffering is a lesson.
Us. Go ahead, Marcel. Speak on it.
They always think our suffering and our pain and our death is a lesson. One of us gets killed. This is a learning opportunity or a time for us to come together. We're not here to teach people how to be better people. We're old to debt. Pay it. I don't care if you've learned from it or not. What you need to learn is that we're owed the debt from the American government that definitely has the money to pay it, and it will not raise a cent of anyone's taxes. They can create their own money, and the government does. That's how they finance the military. That's how they finance the stimulus checks. That's how they bought corporate debt. That's how they bailed out the auto industry. That's how they bailed out the airline industry during the pandemic lockdown. That's how they're about to finance this war with Russia. They can create money because America is a monetary sovereign. All they need is for the Federal Reserve to approve them for an expansion of credit, and they can therefore create as much money as they need. Chair people of the Federal Reserve have said that on record, and that's always been the case. So they can pay us our money, and they need to. So I need Senator Feinstein to understand what you think y'all learned from. That don't mean nothing. Stop talking about what you think. Look at the data, look at the cost, and pay us what you owe.
Whew. Your next congressman, District 6, South Carolina. Many Democrats don't want to talk about whether reparations should be considered. No comment, says Senator Jack Reed, Democrat, Rhode Island, who punctuated his answer with a slice of his hand. Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat of Oregon, said he was too busy to weigh in on the complex topic. Look at this. Look at how they run from our issues. These are those Demorats y'all keep running out to the polls to vote for. 87% of our electorate did this bullshiggity. Delivered Biden and Kabambi the White House. And they would rather see us perish. They'd rather see us be as extinct in number as the Indians before they'll offer up a Maya Angelou quarter with a slaveholder on the front. Let me finish. I can't deal with a big issue when I'm on the fly, he said as he hustled to a meeting in the Capitol. Senator Patrick Leahy, Democrat, Vermont, said, I saw something in the press about it. I haven't even looked at it. I'll be happy to look at it, he added. Support for reparations has steadily grown since June 2014 when Coates, as a writer for The Atlantic magazine, wrote his landmark essay, The Case for Reparations. The subject gained more prominence last week when Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat in Texas, a member of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, and sponsor of the House Operations Measure, held a hearing on reparations at which Coates testified. Excuse me, that was the hearing that the grassroots getting busy in social media preempted. Prior to that, HR 40 was collecting dust. They had about 50 signatures. When the likes of Marcel Dixon and the grassroots got involved, it went to 197 signatures. Did you want to weigh in on how Sheila Jackson Lee is pulling a bait and switch and grifting off of reparations to ensure she stays in office? Would you like to speak to that?
Right. And I spoke about that a little earlier, and I just want to reiterate, we have to stop letting them use HR 40 as their little get out of jail card whenever our Black person says, what are you doing for Black Americans and Freedmen? Never say, I signed on the HR 40. I'm a sponsor. That's not good enough. HR 40 at this point, as far as I'm concerned, is insufficient. The studying has already been done. What we need is real reparations legislation. The math has been done as far as what Black Americans are owed for this American government for the unpaid wages. The math has been done as far as how much opportunities for building wealth, and has been quantified when we were excluded from acts like the Homestead Act, both of them that gave millions upon millions of acres to white families, which today 60 million white families who are middle class and above can trace their wealth to the Homestead Act, the GI Bill, the Social Security Act, the act that brought upon the labor unions. All of these things are well documented. The only thing that needs to be studied is how soon we're going to get our check, okay? And what other policies are going to come along with it. We've been letting them use HR 40 as a get out of jail card, and I'm sick of it. They sign on to that. They do nothing with it. But when it's convenient and we ask them about doing stuff for us, they say, I'm sponsored HR 40, and they want to sit there and wait until someone like Mitch McConnell takes over, and then they want to blame him for us not getting reparations when they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and nothing has been done on the executive level nor the legislative level.
Amen to that. And don't you notice, or is it just me, that when we've got a Democratic trifecta, we're the only ones regressing. We're the only ones upset, kicking and screaming mad. Everybody else is happy because they got the bags and their pockets aligned, which goes back to my earlier point that immigration, legal and illegal, is the albatross around the necks of freedmen, not white folks and immigrants who I clearly showed you by the chart are well off in this country. Don't you notice that when we have a Democratic trifecta, that we are the only ones regressing and screaming? Did you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I noticed. I mentioned the article about Black women's child mortality rate has surged. Okay, surged under the Democratic administration. I do want to shout out one Congresswoman, Laura Underwood. She did write a bill, and I believe it got passed at least through the House to deal specifically with the child mortality of Black women. It's funny, she was able to do this. She's only been in Congress since 2018. Clyburn's been there for 30 years. This ain't a new issue. My grandmother was a victim of medical anti-Blackness during a difficult pregnancy in the 1960s. So this ain't a new issue. But Laura Underwood, who's new to Congress, wrote a bill specifically for Black women, not necessarily freedmen like it should have been, but for Black women dealing with the dangers of us giving birth to a child in the so-called wealthiest nation in the world. Clyburn ain't done it. But I also read an article saying how everyone else's unemployment has dipped. Black unemployment has actually increased. So, I mean, you get out what you put in, right? At least when it comes to Democrats, they put in nothing for us, and it shows. They don't do anything for us, but they do things for other groups. So it's not a surprise that other groups are actually doing better, and we have gotten worse, as shown by the unemployment numbers. Andrew, I'll be right back.
Absolutely. Okay, so on the campaign trail, Senator Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey, has spearheaded the push for reparations. He is a sponsor of the Senate bill that would set up a commission to study the impact of slavery and discrimination against African Americans and make recommendations on reparation proposals to the descendants of slaves. Know that we are a no to HR 40. It is so flawed. There is not enough specificity as to who the injured party is, and it has no cash consideration in that HR 40. So as we build it up, they would not consider our edits. So now we've got to tear it down. So there will be a campaign being rolled out real soon over here on the Reparationist Perspective, because we need all hands on deck. These are opportunities for you to be a part of the movement. Booker's bill has 14 Senate co-sponsors. Now, see, let me help you understand. This SB, oh God, Senate bill. The Senate Bill 40, I think it's called, is a companion HR 40 bill. So they're trying to push it both in the Senate and in the House. The House HR 40, I think, is about 3 to 5 signatures off from being passed. Thanks to our efforts. Now we're regretting it because they won't even let us have a seat at the table. Let me help you understand something, family. We were evolving. And we were being led by some leaderless organizers. Well, they weren't organizers. We were being led by some leaderless YouTube personalities that had us build whole campaigns around getting support for HR 40, only to get the support and be shut out of the editing process. So we're evolving. Now we have to go through and do a whole nother campaign to dismantle it. And we're going to need your help. We were all so green and so new and just so eager to get the reparations. We had a few missteps because we were being led by YouTube personalities. I'm going to leave that right there. Anyway, so yeah, there's a Senate Bill 40, SB 40 is a companion. We needed to fail, okay, because it lacks specificity, especially cash. It is our goal to get us paid as long as they continue our Holocaust. That's how it works. Because as far as I'm concerned, the way I define reparations, it's for slavery, Jim Crow, and the crude ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. So as long as it's ongoing, that's how long they need to pay us. Monthly. You know, like the Cherokee get $30,000 a month from their tax-free casinos while locking Black descendants of Cherokee enslavement out of those proceeds. Huh?
Yes, whom they enslaved.
Whom they enslaved.
Now they got the audacity to try to exclude them for the benefits that their labor, sweat, blood, tears, and intellect is the reason why they got the little they have.
Exactly. And do you know, I wanted you to share about, oh, I lost my train of thought that fast. Honey, my thoughts be coming and going. That's what happens when I get sleepy. Okay, I was just telling them about SB 40, which is the companion bill to HR 40, and how Cory Booker is spearheading that. But I want to show also more symbolism. Now, Biden has earmarked $30 million in crack pipes to line the pockets of white and immigrant-owned drug programs for the opioid addicted, because the crack are either in the ground or they're in prison. We've gotten a Harriet Tubman statue in Philadelphia. We've gotten Maya Angelou on the back of a slaveholder quarter. Coon Clyburn gave Catawba Indians land and casinos, tax-free casinos. They own slaves as well, and their board is filled with $5 Dawes white Indians, okay? He gave them that and then want to give us Lift Every Voice as a national anthem. And now I want to talk about the latest and greatest from the very Cory Booker, who sits up here and brags about SB 40, which is the same garbage as HR 40 is. He brags about that But then, as Black History Month begins, yet more symbolism. Booker introduces African American History Act in Senate. Do you know anything about that?
I have not heard of this at all.
Well, let me share the headline and we can dig into this before I get into my Freedmen voter strategy. And then I'm going to let you go because it's late your time. Hold on. I can let you go before then, Marcel. I can, if you tired, let me know.
No, I got a little bit more time.
I don't want to wear you out because I want you to come back as often as
tomorrow's Friday, so that's good.
Amen to that. But I want to be mindful of your time. I'm so grateful to you for being here with my viewers. Can y'all see that over there? Can you see? Let me come over. Make sure it's centered. Yes. 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 Okay.
And they think they're doing something.
Ain't this about a blip?
Yeah. And of course, Jamal Bowman will be attached
and
to
he wants more African American History Act. I'm going to keep that there and read, since you haven't heard about this one. I'm going to read it from another tab. Hold on, y'all. This is what the Demorats are doing in terms of having our backs. This is what they call having our backs. More freaking symbolism, which is what, hold on one second. This is crazy. Why does it keep doing that?
Is this bill going to, for what I'm reading, it just says provide resources and opportunities. That's so damn vague. Is it going to like mandate that Black history be more expansive or be taught throughout all 50 states? I mean, is it even doing that? Because that would be the bare minimum to me. From what I'm reading, I don't see that.
Did you want to read it? Go ahead, read it aloud.
I'm reading what I read about it so far. It doesn't do even the bare minimal, which should be making, because this is really the subject that led me down the path that led to me coming across the ADOS hashtag, and then, eventually leading here. I never imagined it would lead to this point ever. But I wanted to make Black history mandatory. And it doesn't look like, can you scroll down some? It doesn't seem like that is what this does here.
Well, I'm going to read it from another screen. So I like to keep the headline there so people can clutch their invisible pearls behind the nonsense and the symbolism that they are offering in lieu of reparations.
Right. I'm like, Black people are the majority of the homeless, most likely to suffer malnutrition, most likely to have a foreclosure in their homes, most likely to have their automobiles repossessed. I own less homes now than doing Jim Crow. I am glad that, and first of all, it says African American history. It doesn't even specify freedmen, the people who have been here for the majority of this country's history. We're the primary, quote unquote, African Americans. In fact, the average Black American has been in America, the United States of America as a country, longer than any other racial or ethnic group. So this is very vague. They always doing this vague language that lacks specificity. This is just, like you said, symbolism. Give us policies that will make our lives better. Hip hop months and posing with
Juneteenth that we were already celebrating.
Right. And kente cloth and taking the knee. That's not putting food on our tables. That's not helping us keep the lights on. That's not giving people the bare minimum, which is clean drinking water. Give us policies. And that's why it is adamant that I get to Congress and people like me or much better than I, so we can write the policies that we are lacking. Because other groups, they get symbolism, but they also get policies ready for them. All we get is symbolism and throw it out on the street and left in the cold to die.
Yep. So let's get into that. Hold on. Let's get into it, and then we're going to pivot. That's 10 million to Asians. The Demorats, who have given the illegals the right to vote, are also giving $10 million to Asian American communities hit by the pandemic. Did you hear about that?
I heard about that in New York. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna save that one for the next time you come. I'm gonna work on this segment with you. It's just gonna be talking about dishing with Congressman DIXON. I like that, dishing with Congressman DIXON. Okay, that's one for the record books. Let me write that down, y'all. Let me write it down. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Dishing with Congressman DIXON. That is fire. I must write these brain children down because they come and they go.
Yes, they do.
Oh, I might look 35, but 55 is real. Okay.
This bill is a nothing. What do people say? Nothing burger?
Yep.
It's nothing. Invests 10 million over 5 years to support African American history programs that will be available for students, parents, and teachers. Okay, first of all, can we make sure that the kids to whom you want and the families to whom you want to provide more opportunities to learn about quote unquote African American history, can we make sure that those families have a well-paying job? Can we make sure that those families are able to provide for their homes and they're able to live in quality homes, that they don't live in food deserts, that they don't live in what I'm starting to call medical deserts, where there are no healthcare facilities available? Can we make sure that they go to good schools? Can we make sure that they have exposure to cultural opportunities? Can we make sure that they have access to mental and physical health resources? Those families that lack those things and much more are very more likely to be the same quote-unquote African Americans about whom you want people to learn. Can we take care of these people in the present? I want people to know about our rich history. It's a fascinating history, and we're still writing our history as we speak. But we have to be taken care of in the present. Don't talk about our great history while neglecting us in the present.
Amen to that. It says today, U.S. Senator Cory Booker, Democrat, New Jersey, introduced a Senate companion to Representative Jamal Bowman's Democrat, New York 16 African American History Act. This legislation provides important resources to strengthen opportunities to educate the American public about the richness and complexity of African American history and the impacts racism, white supremacy, and the struggle for justice have had on the fabric of America. Quote, the story of Black people in America is inextricably linked to the story of America. This story must be reckoned with so that we can honestly reflect upon our nation's past moral wrongs and the long and ongoing quest for justice that has been undertaken by Black Americans, said Booker. As we begin Black History Month, I am proud to introduce this legislation that will invest in initiatives to make African American history education programs more accessible to the public, help educators incorporate these programs into their curriculum, and develop additional resources focused on Black history for students and families to engage with. Now, my challenge with this here is akin to what your challenges were. The challenge I'm having is the weaponization of immigration against freedmen to make us history. Exactly. The challenge I'm having is that we've already got the African history with the African American Museum in the nation's capital. We've got enough places where people can go and be educated.
Exactly. They're too damn anti-Black.
If you are truly interested in learning this history, it's not hidden no more. You got social media. I've got 100 books over here that I ordered online that I have yet to be able to read. You got Audible. If you can't read it, you can listen to it to and fro. This is exactly what Congressman DIXON just said, an absolute nothing burger, more symbolism that we do not need. Why aren't you introducing bills to give us immediate relief the way you're doing refugees and immigrants and lining your own pockets? We need immediate relief. We need homes, jobs, and businesses. Where are those bills? And that's the rub for me.
And I have no more to add to that. And my thing is, I just want to reiterate, if you're going to be about that life, then be about that life. They should have made a bill to make it mandatory. And yes, I know that people say education is a state matter, but George Bush, the junior, he showed us that the federal government indeed does have influence over education with No Child Left Behind. They could have written a bill to make Black American history mandatory throughout all 50 states. They won't even go that far. They could have written a bill to close the disparities between schools that are in usually wealthier, whiter areas, which have a lot of funding because American schools are financed by property taxes, and schools in majority Black communities have very little funding. They could have done something to change the way we fund schools or to close the funding gap, something I have on my plan. That will make a huge immediate difference for not just Black children, but for all children. They could have done something to help work with the USDA to help kids get not just breakfast and lunch, but even a dinner for themselves and their families, because schools already get food from money from the USDA to purchase breakfast and lunch for students. My plan will call for adding dinner as well, and not just for the students, but even for the parents. That way, that need of malnutrition is eliminated. They always want to just give us symbolism and not even half steps. Pathetic, pitiful.
Oh, thank you, Pure Vision. Constantly looking out for your sister. I just love you so much. I love all y'all Black and Strong. Hi, Facebook. Hi, Twitter. Okay, so did you want to stay while I push my voter strategy, or should we bid you good night? It's like 7:47.
Right. So it's like almost 11 my time, which is usually around the time I start getting ready. But I want to hear about that voter strategy. So I'm going to make a plan to come back so we can hash things out, because I really enjoyed this. And there's so many things about which we can talk. I just want to leave people with this. Y'all, the time is now. I was recently introduced to a concept called the Overton window, which means the most optimum time to get something done. I have people from the Democratic Party or who have worked with the Democratic Party to help get Democratic candidates elected who are reaching out to me. And of course, they're telling me advice that I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that. Like, abandon the R word, which is reparations. I told them, hell no, ain't gonna happen. But what they do say that I agree with is that if we don't get this in now, there may never be another opportunity for us to get it done. We have to support reparationist candidates who are truly for reparations. There are some candidates who use it as a catchword, but I'm noticing more and more people are really adding reparations to their platform, and they may not go as far as I go, but they all are saying that Black Americans deserve direct monetary payments for the unpaid labor of our ancestors, which has been estimated to be as high as $50 to $70 trillion. So we have to support these candidates. If all we do is stay online and complain or we cause division, nothing is going to change. We have to get that federal legislation that is then going to trickle down to the state level. We have to do it, y'all. The good news is there are candidates out there running on a reparations platform, such as myself. So, Angela, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to be back.
I can't wait to have you back. Thank you so much. God bless you. God keep you. And I'm going to keep pushing even when you're not on the show. I'm doing a full court press practically daily to guarantee I keep your name in lights and that of Tamara Johnson-Shealy, who's running to unseat Raphael Warnock in Georgia. If you know of anybody else I should give support to, I know we've got Reverend Somerville, who's a reparationist here in California. If you know of anyone else I should be pushing out, you let me know.
There is someone else. I'm gonna vet them because I jumped behind a person who run for reparations, and I catch them saying things like people of color and allies and red flag for me. So I want to help people, and I get so excited when I hear other people talking out language that sometimes I act against my better judgment. So now I'm trying to vet more people before I put, because even if I don't mean to endorse them, if I just reveal them, people take it as an endorsement. So I want to be more careful, but there are some others I'm seeing. I even heard, I was told, don't know if this is true, about a white Republican guy in Missouri who is supposedly going to be running against Cori Bush, who's running on reparations. And being that she sold out, that's one of the best example of a bad example of a good example of selling out. She literally mentioned reparations every other post, and the lady has not even, she can't bring herself to say the word black woman, black birthing people. What the hell is that? And now she won't even specify policies for Black Americans. Everything is people of color, black and brown, minority. I get disgusted when I think of her, but I heard there's a white Republican guy, believe it or not, in Missouri running on a reparations platform. That sounds crazy to me, but crazier things that happen. So we'll see. But you know what? Some Republicans might catch on, because I had someone trying to mention, what's that lady name? Marjorie Taylor Greene to me. And I'm going to tell you something interesting that happened. When Biden was trying to pay reparations to illegals who got arrested for breaking the law. So obviously you were separated from your family, when a lot of you then left your family in your native countries anyway. Marjorie Taylor Greene and what's the lady's name? She's another one. Ann Coulter. Not necessarily a fan of either one, but they both wrote, hey, I thought reparations were for Black Americans. What happened? I'm telling these dumb behind Demorats, if you don't wake up, the Republicans are going to wise up soon enough, because Tamara Shealy goes in Republican spaces all the time, and she said they're noticing how disgusted freedmen, not all black, not the black immigrants, but freedmen, Black Americans are with the Democratic Party. And she said they're starting to realize maybe that reparations thing, if they do, so bad, if they do reparations, the Democratic Party, you're done. You're over with. Ain't no chance you coming back. And that's why they are so despicably anti-Black. They'll rather try to give illegal citizenship than to do right by the people who have made them the viable party they are.
You better say that, Marcel.
And before anyone tries to come out there and say, I should run as a Republican, I just goddamn might. So don't play with me. I'm running as a Democrat because the Democrats are the ones that owe us. They owe us, because we the ones, my great-grandparents are the one reason why they're in power, and our people are the reason they keep getting power. But don't play with me, because I might just do it. So shut your damn mouth. Man. All right, I'll see you later. Nobody owes us. Nobody owes us.
I love you, Black.
Right,
I love you so strong. Peace, good night. Was that not a fire broadcast, y'all? Was that not fire? Okay, so let's get into it before I pray us out. Oh, we done went over the river and through the woods. I pretty much did all of my articles for next week, but it is what it is. Prayerfully, we'll have Tamara Johnson-Shealy here next Wednesday with us, and I'll be out here as often as possible pushing my voter strategy. Now, with that being said, let's get into what the voter strategy is. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. If you feel so compelled, please bless the broadcast. My Cash App and PayPal are scrolling in the bar below. Now, I want to share Dr. Claude Anderson and his support of my Freedmen voter strategy. Okay? This is Rich, the iconic, the legendary Dr. Claude Anderson. Let me bring him up. Now, this is the hard part. Lord, it's hard to line this up just right. I should have done it. Okay, let's start it there because it's too hard to toggle with. Okay, what's going on with it? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, let me just refresh it because it's been sitting up here a minute. Audio is muted. Okay. So let's go back, y'all.
We're going to go across this nation and get every black to say, get out of the Democratic Party, get out of the Republican Party. They've taken you for granted. They're not going to do anything for you. They never have. I run campaigns for two presidents. I run campaigns for governors and mayors and attorney generals and every state legislator. And I've never found anybody who set up and say, I'm here to support black people. And I do it because sometimes I've got it in a better sense. I've done this for 60-something years, and I'm going to continue to do it until I die. But I'm trying to show you how to cut it short. But let's deal strictly with the material that is. And let's put it into a protected class. Secondly, get you a national black party. Get you a national black party. And three, that you don't take anything that does not relate to money and resources and opportunities. Civil rights and social integration are divisive things that will split you up and divide you. Stay away from social integration and civil rights. Those things did not help black folk. They have been taken over now by immigrants coming to this country. That's why they get credit for anything they want in this country by claiming they're included and that they're equal to black folk. They're not equal to black folk. Black folk only control 1/2 of 1% of anything in this country. That's exactly what we were at the end of slavery in 1863. Get away from that and say, no, we want tangible, measurable things. And you start with right now with Biden. Biden right now got in the office to talk to black folk. He's already said he inherits that they'll never do anything for black folk in terms of reparations and other things. Do not vote for anybody who will not support black folk. I don't care whether it's the highest, lowest officers to the highest officers. Don't do it. And you vote strictly as a block.
So, Dr. Anderson, can I ask you a question about the voting strategy? I'm sorry to jump back in on, but let me ask you, because you're making a very, very important point that I want to make sure that we highlight. That you said do not vote for anyone who's not in favor of black interests. We right now are pushing a closed border state. We are now pushing closed borders, period, because that is an absolute imminent threat when it comes to our community. And that is our voting strategy as we move forward into the midterm election and then to the presidential election. How do you feel about the closed border strategy?
I'm totally in favor of it. From the community level to the national level. You set aside your property and make you build your community and you market and close it. Market and close it. Just like the Asians, they mark Chinatown. Everybody mark their town with us. Across this country, you can find a little Korea, a little China, a little Hallelujah, anything. You can find.
I'm so glad he's still alive.
Absolutely. So I'm sorry, Dr. Anderson. I hate to cut you off.
Well, there you have it. Lord, I hope I didn't discontinue my broadcast. I am so excited. Just a quick overview of that voter strategy. Now, I know that some of you don't have closed border candidates where you herald from, but you want to look anyway, and you've got to vet everybody who's running for the midterms where you are. Look at how they line up on the vote. So I know that I'm independent, but we can vote in the midterms out here. So I'm prescribing that all freedmen become independents. Okay, you've got to watch your voter laws and make sure that you can participate as an independent in these elections. I know out here in California, during the general election, I, as an independent, cannot vote in the primary. Okay? But because there was nobody with the reparations agenda the last general, that didn't matter to me. I knew I was going to vote green top of the ticket. And then I foolishly voted for this blue Congress. And so I know that every place is different. But what you want to do is find closed border candidates at every branch of government to put into office. Party be damned. Vet them. Get off the Democratic plantation, and that don't mean leap into the Republican plantation. File as an independent as long as it doesn't impede on your voting in the midterm. And we need to show up to the polls in Obama-style numbers and give them the middle finger and our asses to kiss the way they've done us. Their plans to replace us are just about in place. All you have to do is research the number of immigrants, legal and illegal, that are in this country. And we've got to do this for several election cycles, midterms and general, back to back, to bring the Democratic parties to their knees as the Dixiecrats that they are. And we want to show up in Obama-style numbers to make sure they know that we are the ones who did it. We want credit for that L. And if you don't show up, you have nobody to blame but yourself when times get worse for you and yours. With a median national income of $41K, none of us can afford to be any of our family members' reparations. So you've got to get in this fight for yourselves, for your children, your grandchildren, and so on and so forth. There is no help coming. No help coming. We have no friends, and we are out of time. And I've kept y'all for 2 hours. I wish I could go through and read all your comments. I promise I will dial back on the number of articles that I process in one segment so that I will have time to read your comments. But the beauty of your comments, family, is that the live chat will scroll alongside the recorded archive. So people will be able to see how you weighed in. And that I love. So please keep coming. Please keep being a part of this movement as my co-host. Please make these videos, these broadcasts go viral. We need our numbers to be in the millions. I'm being shadow banned. I was kicked off of Facebook. I lost 4,500 subs. So the struggle to get this out is real. But we need to wake up, Freedmen, before we're finished in this country. Because that is the plan since Johnson took away our 40 acres and a mule and enriched white immigrants and white slaveholders alike. The plan is to ethno-genocide Freedmen. And if they can't ethno-genocide us, their plan is to make us beggars in these streets. It is on each and every one of us to guarantee that that doesn't happen to our lineage. With that being said, family, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Freedmen and its allies are, God truly is, because family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Yes, you are, family. If no one's told you today, know this, that I love you black. I love you so very strong, family. And I believe in you to have a beautiful God-inspired rest of your evening until we meet again. If I get some time to come over here and play with you, I'll be here tomorrow night. That's tomorrow afternoon. If I get an opportunity. If not, you'll be seeing me more than likely on Sunday. Until then, family, I'm wishing and believing for you peace, love, and reparations. Reparations. Peace. I'm out.